Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK, WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. You know what to do. You like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists and discover some new ones as well. Today, I get to talk with Hilary Duff. We all know Hilary Duff, maybe from her early work as a teen star. Of course, there's Lizzie McGuire. There's Cheaper by the Dozen. She's back with a new series, and a new series is familiar to all of us, I guess. How I Met Your Father. It's not a reboot. It's actually a sequel series to How I Met Your Mother, and they're in their first season. In fact, when we did this interview a couple days ago, they had just announced that they got renewed for season number 2. So it was actually a nice big celebration, big celebratory moment anyway. So that's where we drop in on this interview right here. Check this out. How I Met Your Father. It's Kyle Meredith with Hilary Duff. Hi, Hilary. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, I think I'm sure the congratulations are rolling out right now, but season 2 confirmed. Here's another. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh God, you know what? It's a scary title to take on just because it's so loved by so many. And, you know, reading the script in the first place and just being like, okay, I see the magic here. I see the opportunity here for this show. And it's great and it's fun, and I just hope that people give it a chance, and I feel like we can just breathe finally, just not being, people realize it's not a reboot, it's like more of a continuation, and that it just finally, I'm like, okay, good. I've been holding my breath for 6 or 7 months.
I mean, the relief, I'm sure, is the big part of it, but especially with the storyline like this, I'm sure does this open up everything to what it's possible to do now with this story?
Yes. I mean, I think we've all kind of known that from the beginning because, the show hadn't rolled out yet, and no one really knew where it was going or knew what we were doing with it. But there's so much opportunity, and really just, this is a modern take of a friend group, and really trying to emulate what that looks like now, in the age of technology and endless opportunities and being swipeable and trying to find love and hanging on to the analog version of us with the tech version of us. It's very relevant. And I think all of us kind of deal with that struggle of balance in our lives. So, the original cast of How I Met Your Mother was all white people, and our cast is very much not that. And that's just a sign of the times, and it's taken a really long time to get here, unfortunately, but it's nice to be here and get to explore people that look like my friend group and your friend group, and, just a more modern take of the world that we're living in right now.
Yeah. It's been interesting, kind of with that in mind, reflecting the world, but at the same time, this is an alternate reality 2022, and that was really from evident from the get-go. No COVID, no masks or anything like that. Was that part of the conversation with you all? We're like, okay, this is now, but it's not now.
Yeah, totally. I know, and a lot of shows have been incorporating COVID and masks and stuff like that, but I think that as important as some of the topics are that we are dealing with on the show, with sexuality, or I don't want to bring up too many things because I don't want to give anything away, but it's a refreshing show that's light and easy to watch, and I think that it's a nice escape to not include that heaviness in our show. I think everyone's kind of COVID exhausted, and I'm really glad we didn't incorporate it.
It's interesting because
we do make a joke all the time. We're like, we wonder how many masks we're going to see on the show accidentally. Someone in the background is going to be wearing a mask, or someone accidentally left their mask on. It was, we're sure there's a little bit of that, but I'm happy that we chose to not incorporate it, because it's been a tough 2 years for people, and we wanted this to be an escape.
A mask in a show is not a coffee cup in Game of Thrones. I think it's forgivable, in that sense.
Totally.
You can do that. But, you're talking about that balance, and it is interesting because it is lighthearted. It's a fun show. But I think we all see those opportunities. Like I started thinking, like, especially now about the future, what you can do besides the obvious mystery of what the show is. Mm-hmm. Like, with your character, it doesn't know your dad. And do you see that as an opportunity for exploration? Are we going to kind of get to go down that route as well?
I think honestly that the opportunities are endless, and that is one thing that the original show I think we're borrowing from, where like it does tug on your heartstrings at the right moment, and there's plenty of layers of humanness in there, and areas where people are like flawed or scarred, and we see that. I don't know how many episodes you've seen, but with the Jesse and Ellen storyline, that is honestly makes me cry every time I watch the scene between them, where their two realities of growing up were so different, and they had no idea what the other one was going through because of this horrible family split. It's this really like sweet moment of like, okay, I have to forgive you. I have to like let the past lie where it is, and I want to know you. I want you in my life. I want to change how our trajectory was going, so it is, there are some really sweet moments, and then there's like really fun, dumb moments. And, Sophie doesn't know her dad, and Sophie raised her mom. And I think that the writers, not our writers, but our creators come from This Is Us, and they so brilliantly are expert storytellers that know how to play with the past and present and tangle up, take you on a windy road. So I have absolute faith that, no stone will go unturned. And now we have 20 episodes instead of 10 episodes to tell multiple stories. And honestly, when we got that pickup, I called them. I'm like, do you guys have enough ideas to do 20 episodes with us? And they're like, yes, we do. So it was really great news. And I think will just give us opportunity to, explore more of the other characters and not be so, heavy on Sophie all the time.
Right. I like to talk about, again, as we talk about that balance, with them, brother and sister, but, being brought up apart and the reconnecting. And that's the heartwarming part. And then they also end up in the same dating pool together. And that ends up being, and there are those moments,
yeah.
Like the sex toy, when that comes into play. That was the first moment I went, this is nuts. This is not How I Met Your Mother. This is a very different show. Like, was that talked about? Like, because you all are able to do and go further in those, especially avenues, than the other show would have been able to.
Yeah. Well, we're not on network TV, and so we get to take those liberties and have a lot more fun. And I think when we all read that script, we were just thankful that it was Surge and not us having to do it. But all of our time is coming. It's coming for all of us. We know this. But yeah, the thing that's so important is that these are 30-year-olds, and they're doing 30-year-old things. And this crazy shit like happens with, you put yourself out there and you fall on your face, or, you try something, you're like, okay, not for me, but I tried it, and that's reflective of what we're all doing in our 30s, trying to find our footing. Fortunately and unfortunately for me, I'm a mom of 3, and my life has a lot more like logistics than Sophie. So it's great to come to work and kind of shake some of that off and be a little less jaded or aware of, how my day ends or what needs to happen, or, she gets to be a little bit more free. And I'm not sure she's appreciating that in the moment, but I sure appreciate it while I'm playing her.
Yeah, it might have been the New York Times article, the interview, where you were talking about that you didn't exactly get to experience her version of this life, in this moment. Like, does this give you a little bit of taste of it? Because it seems like, especially when you look at the dating pool, the grinder and all that, like, this is a safe way to kind of get a taste of that without.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I honestly, when I was a small window of time when I was single, and it was awful. And I remember just being like, dating sucks. Trying to like go out and and meet someone sucks. It's very hard in the moment, I think, to try to enjoy it, until you're not in it anymore. And then and the grass is always greener syndrome, I think, for sure, where everyone wants to be booed up that's not booed up, and everyone that's booed up is like, oh, this is hard work too, like it's always that you want what you can't have. And this is definitely safer that I don't have to do it in real life, and I'm very grateful for that. But there was like a brief moment in time where like I almost created a profile on Raya, and then I was like, no, what are you doing? And then my life kind of came together in a very like serendipitous way. But I do sit on set with Francia while she's swiping through Raya. And it's crazy. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's wild to live in these swipeable times, where you just have a brief moment of someone's attention to show the best version of yourself that someone could say yes to. Like that, even that saying that concept out loud is wild.
Yeah. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done the apps. I got lucky. I got very lucky. It's a foreign world to me. That's the whole thing.
Well, I think that I don't know, because I really haven't been immersed in it ever and experienced it for myself, but I can't imagine. I already just know from the 2 minutes I'm not on my phone, or the 2 minutes I have where there's downtime, it's like instantly I pull out my phone, and there's something to be done on my phone or something to distract me. And living in times like that, it's just we're craving so much content so fast and things to download. And I like that the show is incorporating that, but then also hanging on to those traditions of like, I think it's helpful that our setting is in New York, because we can bump into someone on the street and have like an old fashioned, like meet cute, if you will, and we still sit around the bar and meet our friends and need that like human connection.
Yeah. I also want to compliment the fashion of this show. It's been fun to see you go through the outfits, the Bulls jersey with the flannel. I've got a Pearl Jam poster. I mean, it's no surprise that I'm pulling on that one. But what like how has that been? So when the series first started, Sex and the City was ending, and I was watching that documentary, and Sarah Jessica Parker is showing her going through all the fashion choices. I mean, is this sort of that kind of experience for you too?
I didn't watch the SJP thing that you're talking about, but I'm very I love fashion, and I'm very opinionated when it comes to what I wear or what I think a character would wear, and I work very closely with Anthony, who's our stylist on the show, who's amazing. And I actually worked with him briefly on the Lizzie McGuire reboot, and it was so short-lived that I reached out to him. I was like, I need you for this. Come on, I knew our story wasn't over yet. So it's been really fun. He's just great at carving out everyone's identity. And I feel like, having a second season, we'll just see that even more. And, coming off of a show like Younger, which I've been on for 7 years, where it's very high fashion. I don't know how the hell they afford the clothes that they do, or how my character didn't have her own apartment, but wore like Gucci all the time. But this is, a little bit more budget conscious and relatable. And it's been a lot of fun to figure out who Sophie is and what her style is. And she's a cool chick on a budget, and she's, thrifty. And I think my main thing with working with him was like, okay, let's find 2 pieces that are going to be staples in her wardrobe that are always going to show up, that she like splurged on. And she worked a bunch of gigs to be able to buy that coat or buy that clutch. And it's going to be there all throughout the seasons, and it's fun to think like that. I don't necessarily, always have to live like that in my life. So I like doing it for Sophie.
Yeah, we were watching my wife and I were watching the episode last night, and you had, I don't know what, it's not a tiara, but you had something in your head. But she goes, "Oh, her colors, it's the Cinderella colors," and I said, "I don't know what that means," but
oh my gosh, wait, what was she talking about?
It was sort of a greenish, like, I'm not coming at this from the fashion world, obviously, but she was talking about Cinderella colors anyway. But she was very impressed, and she knows a lot about fashion, so it's whatever that's worth.
You know what? Well, she would love coming into our wardrobe room because it is really cool to see the way they break down episodes and the way they, have pictures of all of us and then have to compare like what we're each going to be wearing in the scene and how that complements each other. It's a big job.
Yeah. It did get us on the topic of some of your older work, and Cinderella story came up because of that. And by the way, just revisiting, that cast was way more stacked than I even remembered.
Yeah.
Like, what an amazing, that's and Jennifer Coolidge finally getting her moment these days. Do you guys still are you in contact with her?
You know what? I have not talked to Jennifer in multiple years, but we actually did another project together after that. And it happened to film in New Orleans. I believe that's where her home is. And she's so cool. And if I got a moment to see her and just give her a hug and be like, I'm cheering you on because you're ruling the world right now. She deserves it more than anyone. And she's always been so good to me and just a talent beyond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just amazing. Well, I do want to quickly hit on the music too, because around every turn, my ears perk up with what's going on. Obviously, Trains Drops at Jupiter has become a bit of a soundtrack mantra on this. Is there any great story about how that landed as Sophie's song?
I don't know. I would have to ask the writer's room that. I don't know that, but how could it not be that song? Like that is everyone's, I feel like, secret anthem. And there's been multiple times where I've been in the car by myself or with a girlfriend and all the windows go down and it goes up to full volume and you have that super cringy moment where you're just like feeling it. And I love that is Sophie's song because it's so her. Like she's just lovable and dorky, and for that to be her like end all be all theme song is just very fitting.
Yeah, I noticed. Speaking of that era in the '90s, you and your husband had covered a Third Eye Blind song. What was it? Never Let You Go. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
was that just a one-off?
Has a weird obsession with Stephen Jenkins. And it goes really deep. He's quite obsessed, and I'm the same way. When we first met, we were working on my record. I was doing a couple of songs, like cutting a couple of songs that he had written. And we ended up talking for like 2 hours about our obsession with 90s music. And obviously Third Eye Blind is high on the list of, 90s smash hits. And so that's really how we connected. And then I forgot why he was doing it with RAC, is one of his good buddies. And when I heard he was doing it, I was like, excuse me, what? I'm coming to the studio right now and you're putting me on somehow, some way. And so I kind of just wormed my way in there.
I've had Stephen Jenkins on the show a few times and he is always a great interview. Man has a lot to say.
What a character, right? Very, very fascinating.
Yeah. I'll close out. I know we're wrapping up on time. Cheaper by the Dozen. Are you interested in the reboot? I only ask, obviously, because you've got your history there too. Are you keeping an eye on that?
I've heard things throughout the years, but I didn't know if anything's really, really seriously going with that. But of course, I have been so lucky to be a part of things just like How I Met Your Mother that are very near and dear to people's hearts. So I would never say no to that. I'm a team player and I'm game to have fun with those type of things. And that was just an amazing cast, I have amazing memories from that. And I think that, revisiting things that are near and dear to people is like always a win, as long as everyone's on board and it feels authentic. Like I think it could be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I've, of course, loved what you've done through the years. This series is no different than How I Met Your Father. I too, was very close with How I Met Your Mother. I broke up with a girl because I wanted to watch that series more than I wanted to date her. So that's how close
I think that my husband probably has the same story. He was just an absolute diehard fan. And that is very funny.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't get to watch the show as much as I wish I had. If I had a glimpse into the future and knew I would be like sitting here, I would try to change that. But I was on tour when that show was having this huge moment. And this was before you could like record TV and just watch anything whenever you want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I missed out on it, but I'm super familiar. Like I've seen multiple episodes. I know the cast inside out, you know, and their roles. And then I kind of made a conscious choice to not go back and watch it all, to not have the pressure of trying to compare myself to any of that, because it is a different show, but such a great show. And I know so important to so many people like yourself who ditched a relationship to watch.
That was it. I thank you so much. I do love what you guys are doing. I can't wait to see where you guys take this story next.
Thank you, Kyle. I really appreciate talking to you.
All right. Thank you.
Fun.
Bye. And my thanks to Hilary Duff. Again, the first season of How I Met Your Father is on now, and looks like we're going to get that second season as well, 20 episodes. That's coming up eventually, I suppose. Big thanks to Hilary Duff, and thanks to you for checking out the episode. Again, before you get out of here, I do hope you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all the interviews that we put out every single week. A new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at all the usual spots like iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, Podchaser, NPR, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcast from. Subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. Then after that, do me a favor. Head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. An hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, mostly on Twitter, but also Facebook and Instagram. All three of them is at Kyle Meredith. I do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.